Welcome back to A Record of My Father. Today, special episode, as every episode is special. We're talking about advice here. And what I really think about is the advice I told a close friend when he was graduating. I said, be prepared for those that love you to hurt you the most in your life. And I think that that is something that I gave him pretty much immediately
Wow.
after graduation. And I think that that's a very valuable kind of piece of advice because nobody ever told me that. And I think that I was
Really?
very ill prepared for when that happened to me multiple times in my life.
Well, but when you say those the most love you, I mean, I would always say that myself or my wife could hurt you more than anyone if we wanted to.
For sure, for sure.
And
I'm
without
talking about.
thinking,
Mhm.
and it's like I've always known, and it's like there's no one that could get me angrier than my mother or my father. No one. No one. Not even you. You're kind of close, but you don't know me well enough to every single weakness I ever had all the way through elementary school and to shit on me for that or
Well, I'm
that.
talking about even close friends or people that you're
Yeah.
in a relationship with or things like that. Because
Oh,
when
they can
those
hurt you the
things
most.
happened, yeah, I was
Yeah.
especially unprepared because I didn't think that them knowing you so well means kind of in my head at that time that they'd
It's a
never hurt you.
two-sided coin.
They'd never hurt you, right? And I was never prepared for that,
Uh,
which it was a learning lesson
well,
for myself.
it makes you guarded. It makes you guarded in early relationships when you get you're basically your head cut off or whatever. I mean, I did a little short the other day on that where I remember my worst breakup ever, and I went out and I couldn't drink enough, I couldn't do enough drugs, I couldn't eat enough, I couldn't, do something to kill whatever was my envisioned pain, and then I started running,
Mm.
and that solved it. You know,
I
but
remember when you
but
were talking about the track run, right? Your fastest,
Right,
what was it, 5K? It
exactly.
was like 20
No,
laps,
it
right?
was 5 miles.
Oh, it was 5 miles. So it was
Five
like,
miles in
yeah.
35 minutes. I broke the 35. I did 34 and something, and then I stopped. It
Hmm.
was weird. I was just like, when I started, I was like 48 minutes or 50 some minutes or something. And first, I couldn't even do 5 miles. I could only do like a mile. And then I was like, 4 laps. This is what?
Hmm.
And I slowly worked up to five. And then after five, I started saying, okay. And then I did five over and over and over. And I was doing it 4 nights a week,
Hmm.
because
No,
it's only, I
exactly.
mean, really, it was a middle school track, the Fred Emblem School. And I just go over there and go run. And I just run and and that saved me. It got me to uh, let go, you know. And as far as advice goes, it's like the advice I would give for anybody in a broken relationship that when you're trying to get over the pain, everybody says time will make it better. Of course it will, but you don't have time because you're living in the friggin' present. So what you have to do is you have to figure out, okay, and this is nothing that anybody told me. I learned this by beating my head against every wall and finding one that worked. And now it worked for me. I don't know if it'll work for you, but
Well,
it's
I
a
think another
suggestion.
piece of advice is there's two kinds of business. There's my business, and then there's
Mhm.
none of my business, which I think that is
None of you.
a phenomenal piece of advice because I think a
Yeah,
lot of times we worry about other people outside of our own life, and we worry
we
about
do.
what they're doing or what they're up to. But in reality, we shouldn't focus on that.
Well, when you say, I mean, there's worry, but there's also stalky, because I care and worry about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've
I'm always going
discussed
to
in the
do that,
past, and yeah, I mean, when you
but I'm
have a
not going to,
child, that's kind of how it works, right?
yeah. Or even if sister, brother-in-law, sisters-in-laws. I mean, I care about them. I worry about them. And I guess I judge and I
Hmm.
look at their situation and I want to make sure that it's good, you
For
know.
sure.
But well, I don't know. Where was I going?
We're talking about advice here.
Yeah, I was thinking about what's the different types of advice you've gotten over the years. I mean, I think the Seth gave me advice on, but he was more making me look into the future. I don't know if it was necessarily advice. He asked me a question when I was like 25. I was in my first professional job, and he said, and I was there and I was happy. I was making like, I don't know, I got in a raise. I was making 19,000 a year, which to me was paid my credit card bills, paid my car payment, my insurance, had my food, got hammered all the time, never a problem because I always went to dime, and did the party, dated here and there, and I started dating people long distance. So it would pay for my Amex flights because I flew to Pensacola, Dallas, Tampa, Boston, Chicago.
Hmm.
There's another one, New York. Weirdly, I don't know why I dated people
Yeah, you've gone over this.
far
I
away,
think that the whole
but
thing too, a Don
yeah,
Quixote quote to kind of back up the last one is he who humbles himself is exalted. I find myself looking at quotes a lot of the times as well with
yeah,
reading and the things that come across, right?
yeah.
And I think that that is a very accurate portrayal of the human
Hmm.
existence and and what brings you down brings you to the highest degree possible in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that when I think about advice, I'm trying to think, my mother used to always say it's only temporary
Mhm.
about everything. Didn't really matter. And in a way, compared to the amount of time that we spend off on Earth, it is temporary. And then compared to the time of all mankind, anything you do is temporary. So I think to that, and I know she wasn't speaking to that expanse. She was just like, just do it, get it done, move on. It's not a
Well,
big deal,
that's
right?
almost like this too shall pass, which I've heard
Exactly.
many times, and which I've
But
fallen on in the past year, probably a lot.
mhm.
Not
Yeah.
probably, I definitely have.
Well, that was great advice from Tom Hanks. Remember when he said, uh, uh, "This will change." I think it was something to that effect because I
He
saw a
said
video.
that on a SAG after roundtable, actually. I do remember seeing that.
And he was sitting there and he said, everybody, he said, you're the worst possible. You can't get apart. Everybody hates you. This too will change. And, everybody smiles. And he said, you're at the Academy Awards. You just won the Oscar and you're the top of the heap. You're happy. You're party. This too will change. So it's kind of like life can be a roller coaster. It can be a sled ride. It can be, I mean,
I think the majority of time, no matter what, it's a roller coaster, right? I
yeah,
think that
mine's ups and downs. It's not
you're never
not
not going to face loss. You're never not going to face,
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah. And as
travesty
I get
and things
older, I'm
like
gonna
that.
face. I'm guessing I'm gonna. I wonder if there are more. I mean, I know I'm gonna face a lot more because everybody's. I'm 65. People are dying. A whole lot more people dying now than when I was a little kid. But I don't know if I cared more for the loss then. I don't know. It's different. I mean,
Yeah,
you
what is it
faced more
like?
loss.
What is it like seeing peers?
What?
What is it like seeing peers around you die? What is that like?
Uh well, I mean, the closest peer is my brother, and it was ugly. You know,
Hmm.
it was. At first, it's sort of like no big deal. He's kind of like it's been a year, but then slowly you start to realize all of the things that you don't. I didn't really realize how much we did together until after he was gone. That was very, it's like it's sort of like, oh, and I mean, call me from the airport, come get me, I need to run home. I'm like, you're on the other side of freaking crazy land, and I'd
I
still
need to
do
go to
it, but
bungalow.
yeah, and then we wouldn't even go home. We go to the bungalows and smoke cigars and drink beers, and you're like, you're nuts. But then he would invite like all the people that could have brought him, and he said, oh no, I'll meet you. You drive me there, and then they'll come, and then one of them will take me home, and I'm like, what kind of a person when they're coming home from 4 days on the road stops at the bar, meets all of his friends, and and then gets a ride from one of his friends to his house.
That
I
is
mean,
interesting. The
you
yearning and
know,
wanting to be around other people that you love and care about,
right?
especially
Exactly.
after you've been away for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you think that? I mean, I think about it, and I was just like, wow, there was. I mean, we did. I used to go there fishing. I would say I would see him. The last year I saw him every week, at least once a week. Before that, it was, I mean, never more than at least two times, once every 2 weeks, you
Yeah,
know,
I remember that.
for
I remember going down there.
years, you
Hmm.
know, for years.
We used to do
And it
the
would always be,
barbecues.
I'm going to Letteri's. And he wouldn't tell me. He would just show up at our house at like 7 friggin' 30 in the morning on a Saturday, with a big smile and, let's go. And then we go to Letteri's and we walk in there like 8:15 and they'd just be opening, and he'd get a 6-pack of Peroni and we'd put it in the shopping cart in the little narrow places we went around, and we'd drink beer in the morning at like, this is after my mother was dead, but it was kind of a reminiscent of that. And then we get a sub and go sit on the back of the, I usually drove the truck, and we pop down the tailgate and sit on the back because that was the coolest thing to do. And we just sit in the parking lot drinking beers, and we'd see the homeless people across. There's a guy that used to sleep in a shopping cart. I would tell you at night, I don't know why. I'm not sure a shopping cart is a better place to sleep than the ground.
I remember or sitting in a shopping cart as a almost adult, about 16 or something like
Hmm.
that, as a joke. And that was the most uncomfortable experience. I would rather
Yeah.
sleep on the ground, just
Yeah.
personally. But I think along the same lines of what you were saying, I don't know where I
Well,
got
you
this
did that at
quote
the
from.
hockey game when you played downtown at Verizon.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
that's
ran
what I'm
away, you
thinking of.
hopped in there, and you were
It's
hiding
like,
in the shopping cart
yeah, like
line. We couldn't
13 or
find you.
something like that.
Yeah,
But be available to those that affect you,
yeah,
touch you,
yeah.
and change you. Because I think emotional availability a lot of times, especially for men, is not concurrent with yeah, being outward and reaching to those that are emotionally available.
Uh, I would say if you want to get things done, you start.
Hmm.
I think that's the most important thing, is to make the first step and make it sooner rather than later. Uh, as far as when I think of decisions, uh, I'm like, I find all throughout my life, people want more information. I don't think anybody I've ever met that's made a decision didn't want more information, unless they're getting ready to kill somebody or something like that. Anyway, the I mean, they always like, well, and it's like, to me, it's like, it's, there's like a line, of how much you can have realistically in that, and it's like, make it faster.
Well, I think you
I'm
can never know enough, right? I think
No,
that
you
that's kind of
can't.
what you're saying. You can never
Well, what you
know
want to know
enough
is
about those people that you have
exactly how's it going to
relationships
turn
with.
out, and it's like, well, until you do it, you don't know,
Yeah.
right?
No, I
Pull
completely
the
agree with
trigger,
that.
move forward. Just make sure that if you're lucky enough, you can pull the trigger and move in a different direction.
I think
That's all you have to have.
being attentive to minute details in your life as well, to
Mhm.
become larger and larger over time. I think that
What
that
are
is
you,
something.
gaining weight?
No, I'm talking about sobriety and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
And how, I don't know, I feel like there's a stage, or kind of not really a stage, but a kind of general idea that people drink on the weekends or have a
oh
glass
yeah.
of wine here, and that it's kind of an acceptable form of alcoholism to some
Friday,
degree.
Saturday,
I
Sunday.
don't know.
Friday, Saturday are big, and then Sunday during football season or whatever it is, basketball or yeah,
And I'm not really saying this because I'm this newfounded guru, right? But I think that for a long time I didn't realize that how weird it is that disassociation from your body in the world is so kind of
yeah.
accepted. I don't know. I think
Well,
that's
you quit
strange.
for a while, and then all of a sudden you realize it's like, well, every night I went out Friday, I just went out to go drinking with the guys, and really I just went to get hammered. So,
Well,
oh,
yeah, I think another thing to realize too is how exhausting it is when you can't disassociate, and how alcohol is a relaxer for a lot of
yeah.
people.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
how, what is it? It's like day 70 for me or now or something like that.
Yeah.
And just the idea of being conscious and in your body all the time
Yeah.
is it's exhausting. It's exhausting to some degree.
Can't hide, can ya?
No. I don't know about hiding, but you can't even, because that bond with other people too is now different. It's a kind of a
Yeah.
differentiation.
Well, yeah, you start to learn that it's, I mean, you had it with friendships in high school. I had it with friendships in high school. I had it with friendships when I worked in construction, is they were situationally based. They were not. connections. They were, we work together, we do really well, blah, blah, blah. Now, the weird thing is, and I guess maybe working in this one industry for nearly 35 years, I mean, I am friends, I believe, with people that have been in that I've known since the 90s, mid 90s to now, and I'm still friends with them. And it's not only situationally, I think it's when you do that, you have to change the way that you deal with them. And I think that's the same thing when you talk about alcohol. If you only went out and partied with them, you then need to change what is something new that they like to do or they already currently do that you can do as well.
And
You
if
know
they're
what I
not
mean?
willing to change, then they were never your friend in the first place.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah.
I
And it's
think that
like,
that's kind
okay,
of the deal.
that's we make our own paths, right?
It's a tough thing to accept, but I think it's
Yeah.
acceptance nonetheless. So
Yeah.
I guess a question for you. I mean, what would be some advice giving
Oh,
me with
what
your
advice would I give you?
advanced age? No, I'm joking.
Uh, well, you're actually executing on it more than anything. I mean, I think it's kind of weird, and I don't know if you know it, but one of the things that I always encourage you to do was, how do I put this in the least objectionable words? Shoot your load in your 20s. Is that least
What do you
maybe
mean
not?
by that? What do
I
you mean?
mean, I mean, you the thing is that everybody's always like, go to elementary high school, go to college for 4.7 years, go to grad school if you're going to, hop out, get a job, get a good job, and then start hopping around in the industry to find out what you really like to do. And there's no exploratory there. And it's like, well, if you truly want to work for someone else and you want and you don't and you don't have that kind of mindset where you like to question things, and which is a good thing.
Well, I think having a financial
you know
background too, or having some sort of nest egg is very important,
yeah,
especially now more than
safety.
ever. Because I think about Mark Edmondson, who wrote this book on teaching. He was my poetry professor at
Hmm.
UVA, and he wrote about how college
Oh
is no
wow, you smart
longer,
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
very wicked smart. I'm really smart. I went to a really good school, but he was
That's your advice.
talking. He was talking about how college now is seen as a stepping stone to get to the job that you've always wanted. But then what he was existing and alive in the 70s, right? He had experiences where he was working with a band. He worked at a carnival for a couple of years as a manager. He worked at a water park for a couple of years as a manager there. And he kind of traveled around, did all these little things until he ended up at UVA becoming an English professor, right? And now more than ever, you see people looking at school like a stepping stone. When I think it's really manufactured because of how expensive school is now. How can you look at something that is so incredibly expensive as just an experience that you should pursue your own kind of academic category in, whereas you actually have to make it matter because it's so expensive. Therefore, you have to get a degree in something that you can definitely get a job in, right?
Hmm.
I think that that's part of it. But then at the
Yeah.
same time, he does this whole statistic. It's crazy. Do you know, in like, I think it was 84, he pulled the statistic. He said nationwide, English majors summed, I think it was around 50% of degree takers right at the university that graduated. And now it is close to 7% of people that get a degree in English, yeah, of the general population of the
Wow.
university, right?
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
because it's considered, it's a soft science. It's not, it's not
it's like psychiatry or something.
well, I don't want to say I don't think soft science is the proper words, but I
Mm,
think it's that it's it 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 the economic value that you can directly relate to it is significantly less than many other degrees.
100%.
And but the problem is that that assumes that you and I and everyone else were put on this earth to deliver economic value and to achieve and get just economic value. But then some of us see getting economic value as a path to freedom, to where we can have what we want and marry who we wish and have children or cars or houses or whatever the hell we want to have. And so economic freedom is just one more tick on the path to getting where they want to be. I mean, me, I wanted to be a writer, and and that's what I wanted to be when I was in high school, and I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And I thought that being a writer, and that's when I was reading. I started reading at the end, and then in my late teens, early 20s, I read a lot more. But the piece of advice I got from my father: there are 6,000 or 8,000 uh, open writing jobs a year, and there's 64,000 new. What is it? What is the majors? Uh, uh, what is writing? Not writing.
Journalists, is that what you're saying?
Journalism.
Yeah.
There's 64,000 journalism majors every year, and it's like, do you think you're going to be better? Because if you're not going to be better, you're going to be at the low end of the totem pole. And I'm like, I'm going to be better, but wow, that's serious competition. Whereas at that time, business was then in my mind, I could do a business and I could be in a business degree. I could understand the business world. I could apply that. And then I could have some semblance of financial autonomy that would allow me to pursue the other things I wanted to do. But what happened to me is I fell into something that I loved and I got to do it. And, and I learned about securities and all that, and securities rules and regulations, and public offerings, and collateralized mortgage obligations, and all this other kind of happy horse shit, and all the different exchanges in the world, and the different types of data sets, and how to make the data sets interact, how to put them all together. And that got very exciting for me over decades of doing it, and I enjoyed it, and I didn't need to pursue something else, and I sat the writing idea on a shelf.
Well, I think that advice,
and it was also economically very nice to me. So
I think that advice that he gave you as well,
Yeah.
kind of, I think subconsciously you realized, wow, here's a guy with a doctorate from Harvard who is
Yeah.
writing for the local Woodbridge newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
He
maybe
didn't have a doctorate. He was like a duh or something like that. He was working on something. I don't know
okay,
what it
gotcha.
was.
I thought he was working
Yeah.
on his doctorate towards.
Now, he had a master's, or I think he had a master's. The more I learn, the less I know.
Interesting.
Because most of the stuff that it's really his history is checkered. And when I got his he told me it was in World War II, and also in Korea War. So I get this form that you get from the military, and it just says that he was in World War II. I mean, he was in Leyte, he was in Okinawa, he was in the worst places you could imagine. But he said he was in Korea. And they didn't show anything on Korea. But how's that? That doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, they could have messed up the records of the 50s, something like that. So I'm going to go back and hit it again. But it's like,
That's strange.
When he talked about being married to my mother, and she was really lucky because she was a 2-time loser, and I think to get you.
Seemed like she was
I ain't got a job. Yeah.
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just didn't understand it. It just a lot of things like that. But
I've met quite a few people,
Mm-hmm.
or heard stories more so about people that are get married, and there's this hyper masculinity that is kind of surrounding the husband, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, they're lucky. They're
She's my
lucky.
woman.
They're lucky to have me. And I'm like, but you don't really work, and she's the breadwinner.
Yeah.
But she's lucky to have you. I think it's kind of lying to your face in the mirror so that you can, I don't know, evaluate your life in a more
It helps
positive way.
It helps you keep your self-esteem, I think, because a lot of people like that have that's their only grasp onto it. Like me, my wife doesn't work. Weird. Hasn't in a long time. But you're kind of a reflection of that.
Yeah, that's
quality,
a job.
the quality stuff that
100% work. Raising a child is definitely work.
She taught you things that I never would have thought of, or never, just like, and the things that I see, and the fact that you go and you start your own business in your 20s, and I'm just like, that's stupid. He'll never make any money. And then I have to
Didn't you do the same thing?
Well, yeah. That's what's so funny. It's like I'm totally against it, but it's exactly what I did. You know, the difference is that you're capitalized a lot better. I mean, you made all that money in GameStop. So when
Yeah.
I went out and started my first business, I had $15,000. I put it all in the business, and all we had to do was make rent and a car payment, which was I had to make $300 a month. And then I figured I could eat at different places that were cheap, like the Dirty Water Dog Truck. You know,
Mhm.
you know, you
I
could
love
get
the
two,
dirty water dog truck. I remember that
two,
video we posted when we were at
yeah,
Universal, and you said I used to do this all the
yeah.
time. Well, oh, can we get an official score on the hot dog at Universal? Can you give a how many dad stars? How many father stars?
Oh, and the Universal hot dog?
Yeah,
I mean, it was
out of 10. Out of 10.
out of 10.
Yeah,
Okay. It was, I'm trying to remember. That would have been about probably 5, maybe.
out of 10. Really? I was
Yeah.
gonna go a solid 2.2
No, no,
out of
no. I
10.
mean, you got to realize that the bun was good.
Oh, that is kind of a good point.
The
But
bun
those
was
were,
really good, and the bun is about got to be 25%.
I think they were green.
You
I'm not
know.
even
Oh,
kidding.
the hot dogs were green. They were
Yeah, they were
bad.
green. They were
The
left
hot
in the
dogs were
water
green.
overnight.
The onions were good. The chili was
There was no
uh
onion on it. What are you talking about?
no, no, no. What are you talking about?
There was no onion on it. It was just
Which one are
dog.
we talking about? The one we ate at the Simpsons or the one did we eat one at the
That was
Simpsons?
that was a
Oh, that
donut.
was the donut. Where was the hot dog?
The
Where'd you
hot
get
dog
it
was
to?
very beginning when we went in, and me and
Yeah.
you were hungry.
Oh,
Yeah.
that hot dog. Oh my God. Sorry, 2.9.
2.9. Okay, there we
Yeah,
go. I was
2.9.
wondering, like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
hot
No, no,
dog are
no.
you remembering?
No, no. But I did like the bun. I
The
did
bun was
like the
good.
bun. That
I
was
was
what I was
shocked.
remembering was the bun, and I was trying to remember what else did I put on it. They didn't have condiments, so that kind of pissed me off.
You had to
I mean, the
walk
one thing
across
that
the
the
thing to
Dirty
get
Water
the
Dog trucks,
yeah.
they load. I'm a condiment guy. If you don't have condiments, basically piss off because I don't. There's nothing I want. It's. I know the meat is not meat. I know that it's crap. I know it's from last night. Cover it in mushroom. I mean, and mustard, onions, ketchup, uh, whatever the hell else, chili, hot sauce,
Do you like mayonnaise?
sauerkraut.
Mayonnaise
No,
on
no
hot dog.
freaking. That's to kill you.
You
Blasphemous.
you don't
My
like mayonnaise
God.
on a hot
What are
dog?
you, religious or something? Get away from me. That's terrible. You cannot do mayonnaise.
No
Like
mayonnaise dogs.
mayonnaise on fries. Get away from me. I
I remember
stab you. I
in
will stab you
college,
in the eye with a fork, sir.
in college one time, there was a guy that came over with a couple of my other friends, and he was like, oh, we were all pretty half in the bank. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, what do you got? I'm like, I got mayonnaise and I got hot dogs. And he fried the hot dogs in the mayonnaise. And I'm not gonna lie, not bad, not bad. And then he put a lot of dill on them because that was the only kind of seasoning I had.
Okay.
Dill mayonnaise hot dog,
We're
not bad.
talking about interesting combinations.
Mm.
Remember hot dog eggs?
Oh yeah, that was veal sausage, and then it was with eggs. And
Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure there was excess soap in the pan.
I don't know.
There had to have been excess soap in the pan.
That was hands down the worst to this day food that I've eaten ever that I've made myself. And I kept thinking like, but it's to me, it was like sausage and eggs, right? That's what I would have thought. You have sausage and eggs, eat sausage and eggs. And it was really, and it tasted more like hot dogs and eggs. And I don't know if you've ever had hot dogs and eggs, but if you really want to taste, if you want to go to a new low on your taste buds. Like if you have a meter that goes down to like 1, this will take it down to 1/10 because it is something that sticks in your mouth, and it's kind of like drinking gasoline. When if you're moving gasoline out of a tank, you just can't get the taste out of your mouth for a while, like a day. That's what it is. That hot dog, it was like hot dogs and eggs. And the wife would
Sad.
not, just because we cooked them, she stopped eating eggs. Has not eaten eggs since then.
That's true.
That was like 8 months ago, and she's like,
That
you
was a
know,
couple of years ago, right?
was a
Because
couple
they
of years ago.
opened. It was at a Lebanese store that we bought the cans of
Yeah.
Vienna sauce. It wasn't
Oh
Vienna. It was veal
yeah.
sausage. Weird.
It was veal sausages. My
Yeah.
God, that was stupid. That was just so dumb.
But I think the same thing
My
happened
God.
because it was a newer store, and I don't think they were getting a lot of traffic because it was in an odd place. I honestly wonder if it's still there. That's a good
Yeah.
question. That was on Chainbridge Road, next to the
Yeah.
Chipotle. It was in
Well,
that
they could
back
have just
business
started
center.
serving veal hot dogs with eggs, and they would have solidified their business model.
It was not great. It was not
Yeah.
fantastic. I will tell you
No,
that
it
much.
was. I have rarely had a worse meal.
There's some sort of thing about when you food poison yourself, the level of shame that you feel after. I don't know what, like you go get food
You walk
poisoning
with
from a
your head held
restaurant.
low.
Oh, you do. It's there's even more shame because it hurts worse because of how stupid you feel. And I think that like
Well,
when I've gotten food poisoning 4 times last year, I
yeah.
didn't even feel nearly as bad as when I self food poisoned. And that was bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was horrendous.
So that's we call that that's advice on food. Don't. It's okay to get food poison from other things, but don't get food poison from yourself.
Yeah. Don't
Because
do it.
I think back to when I was probably like, I don't know, my sister had gone off to college. I was cooking dinner. The old man brought in these steaks, which we thought were horse, and he got them from a discount from somebody he knew, and it was one of those steaks off the back of a truck. It just to me is not
Fell
always a
off the
good
back
idea.
of the truck.
Might have been a trunk of a car. Might have been a trunk of a car. Anyway, he has those, and I cook them. And now, because the mother, we always cook dinner. Because she worked, I had to do something, and he did nothing. And so, what I did was I heated up the charcoal because I did the little hibachi grill, which is and I put it all on there, and it went out. It wasn't like doing very well.
Hmm.
And the old man's chomping at the bit, because he was. You think I'm impatient? Oh my God, he was by far the most impatient person I've ever met in my life, times a factor of about 10. From zero to screaming because it takes too long to get something. What the hell, I mean, even when we were waiting in line to vote, he's yelling. And you're just like, there's hundreds of people around. We're in a long line to vote. And all he does is scream about how these people don't care about his time. And he actually has nothing to do.
I think you talked about too. I think insufferable is a perfect word for
Yes, yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
But the anyway, to get back to the story about the hibachi is it wasn't cooking, so I sprayed a bunch more lighter fluid on it. And I tried to light the lighter fluid and it didn't light. And then I didn't think anything of it. And well, the problem with that is that now you have charcoal that's burning in the center, lighter fluid on the outside, which is evaporating. And so then I throw the steaks on when the charcoal looks big enough. And then I cooked them all and they tasted exactly like Kingston, charcoal fluid,
Would you do it again?
lighter fluid. What?
Yay or nay? Bad on the lighter fluid flavor?
No, it was
No, it wasn't good. Not a good marinade.
it wasn't as bad as gas flavored, like when I've had gas, but it was it wasn't in the top 5 things I'd want to eat. It was closer to the top the bottom 5. It was pretty much down there. I'm not sure if it's actually the bottom 5. It's
Worse than the sausage, the veal sausage and eggs. Was it worse than that?
I think well, no, I was burping hot dog egg the next day, which was just the
It was
you just get that nasty burp that just. But that being said, after eating the horse steak, I think it was horse, could have been something else, and I hope it was horse, and, but you did the same thing. You're like burp, lighter fluid.
no.
And the old man was smoking and chain smoking, and I just kept thinking, like, there is a chance.
There was something
Oof.
about Stanley Tucci searching for Italy, or it might have been Bourdain. Like one of them was in
Yeah.
Italy, and this
Yeah.
guy was cooking horse on like actual horse
Yeah.
on a outside grill, like in an alley somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And the guy was saying, he's like, it's good when it turns yellow, when it turns yellow on the grill.
That
And
just
I don't,
grosses me out.
anything that turns yellow on a grill, I don't think I really want it.
Unless it's a friggin' lemon, I don't care.
Yeah,
No.
no, I don't think about the yellow. I don't think I
Because
like it.
we had zebra in Iceland, which
Mhm.
is just like horse. That's what I was told. But no, it wasn't. It was horse. It was horse. We had those in
It's like
Iceland. They had those.
tough.
they have those little pony horses. You know what I mean? The little ones with the big, long, furry
The mini ones?
mane.
You ate a mini one?
Oh my God, yeah,
Well, you ate puffin too.
yeah, a whole damn thing.
Didn't
Anyway, no, I ate
puffin
puffin
taste
and
like
no,
gasoline, right? Did
yeah,
puffin taste like
that
gasoline?
no, that tasted like if you were to take a little lump of crab and just set it outside in the sun for about a day or two, and then pick it up and before it actually completely dried out, and move it into the bathroom like a small room, and then have to stand in that room and smell. And he's just like, that was the way puffin tasted. And it was and it was like when you were walking, you felt like your whole body was immersed in that nasty, fishy,
Oh,
skanky oil.
jeez.
But but what the hell else? The horse, nothing like that. Horse, uh, I'm there with Bushka, and he cuts off a piece. I think it was horse. He can remind me because if he's listening. And I had a steak, and we went to this nice restaurant because it was our next to last day or whatever. And they had good bourbon, and we didn't care. Anyway, he cuts off a piece, and it's I don't know if it's medium rare or something, but I took a bite of it. And it was really good.
Oh,
But you know what I kept saying?
what?
And he goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "Wow, it's really good." But you know what the problem is? It's a friggin' horse.
Sea
He
biscuit.
goes, "What?" And I go, "But it tastes really good, but it's a friggin' horse." And I said, "You know what? If you cut a piece of a chunk out of somebody's ass and gave it to me and it tasted really good, that's okay. But it's still somebody's ass, And that's what I couldn't get over that.
That is kind of the same thing that I did the other day at Costco. There's this Chinese bacon, right? But it's made in America. It's weird. And they're in a vac seal, right? It's kind of like pork belly. And me and
Uh,
Jordan ate it in the morning, and it smelled like I was cooking dog in the kitchen, even though I've never smelled what cooking dog is like. And I took one bite. I didn't eat for the rest of the day. It was so bad. The whole like apartment smelled like dog.
how much did it
And
cost?
like $10 or something. But it was in a vac seal, it wasn't refrigerated at all. And it was like you were
Oh
just
my
supposed to cook
God.
it. And yeah, me and Jordan did not like the dog flavored bacon. That was not great. I would give that probably akin to the hot dogs and
And
eggs.
eggs.
Probably
Yeah.
less than one.
Yep. We're
If it
we're
makes you
right in
sick, is
there.
it less than 1 star? That's a good question to ask.
Uh I think that there are things that make me sick, that make me boot right away,
Hmm.
and I just get rid of them all the way. And those are not really all that horrible.
Hmm.
Sometimes something will taste good and it'll hit your stomach and you go, "Eh, come on, dude, I'm running back." And they're not horrible going down. And then there's the ones that are like, you got to eat them slowly and swallow them because they taste bad. Like I don't know, cod liver oil or something like that. When you were a kid, you were never had to take that kind of stuff. When you're trying to make your stomach get settled, you drink Alka-Seltzer, and Alka-Seltzer always made me boot.
You know what
Anytime
was
someone,
bad was I accidentally a couple of years ago, I think about 3, 4 years ago. You know, like the salmon oil supplement pills. So
yeah,
I was taking those pretty consistently. Didn't know you needed to refrigerate them. And so
ah,
I ate two on the way to see Cookie Monster SB for the first time. And so in the car, my vision starts blurring. It starts blurring, and I'm like, well, what
yeah,
just happened? And then I make the recollection that yeah, I ate rancid fish oil, and I pulled over, projectile vomit all over the parking lot. But I never felt like I was sweating, and I couldn't see very well. It was weird. It was weird. Attacked your brain.
whoa,
Because I guess
yeah,
it is a healthy fat for your brain, so I guess that's
yeah.
why it was
So it's gonna kill your
attacking
brain.
me. Yeah, but that was
Well,
that felt like a neurotoxin. Not gonna lie.
I think I've got two infamous upchuck scenes.
Mhm.
The what is it? Uh, the ice maker at the hotel,
Oh yeah,
and the Hilton Hotel, one, two, three sides of an elevator,
that's
standing
impressive.
at the front. It was, but that was Oktoberfest, so I think I'd consumed 8 liters, something
Nine
like that.
gallons
Eight
of
or
beer.
yeah, it was a lot of beer, a lot of beer.
That's
But
hectic.
but it painted the walls nicely,
When I used to
and
drink
they were mirror.
gin and tonic, too much tonic water
Ooh,
does that for
God.
me. Because I remember
Yeah.
drinking these gin and tonics, and only had like 3 or 4.
Mm.
but the level of tonic water that was in them like makes you feel like you have the flu. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but it's something about tonic water that just makes me feel like Squidward when he was sick in SpongeBob, that one episode where
Hmm.
he's all really, really gray. Well, he's usually gray, but he's more of a purple gray when he's
Hmm.
sick. And yeah, that was really not great.
King's Head.
What is the king
Uh,
said?
King's Head was one of the bars at Old Dominion, and on Thursday nights they had 85-cent mixed drinks, and we used to drink a bunch of beer and then go there. And I had Soul Plasma earlier in the day, so I was right.
Nothing like a little plasma pregame
I,
to
I
help you
mean,
out.
I drank beer after I sold plasma. Then I went out drinking. And we went to King's Head, 85-cent mints drinks. I left, I had a $20 bill for my plasma sale. And when I came back, all I had was change. I was
It's
just,
so funny.
that was the end of rum and cokes. No more. I had rum and coke, and I must have wrote my name a couple times on walls.
I remember what would
I wrote
we
them in cursive too.
it was the end of the show when the rain stops falling and there
Yeah.
was a cast party and I probably did 13 Jaeger bombs that night,
Uh,
13 or 14.
yeah.
And I woke up shaking the next day. I was
Yeah.
shaking because the level of caffeine is absurd because you're drinking a half a Red Bull when you're
Oh.
doing a shot of Jaeger.
Oh.
It's about a half a Red
Oh,
Bull
so you
or
don't
a
just do the
third.
Jaeger straight.
No, Jaeger bomb. So that's
Oh.
a shot of Jaeger in Red Bull,
Oh, that's
which
silly.
yeah, which
We
makes you
used to just do
feel like
Jaeger
you're
straight.
sober. What?
We would do Jaeger straight. And
German vodka.
yeah, they called it German vodka at the Nazi deli. Uh, what was it? Mozart, Cafe Mozart downtown in DC. It had a room in the back where they had a bar and they served really, really good German food. But they always had like these special German drinks. And the guy came and said, "Oh, this is in '86." Said, "We got this new thing, and it's." He didn't say Jaeger. He said it's German vodka, and it was ultimately Jaeger. And but we do little shots, and you do shot before you eat, do a shot before you. I mean,
So it's like
it
soju
became.
of Korea or of Germany, I guess.
I have no idea.
You know what soju is? It's like a rice wine that you
Yeah.
drink at Korean barbecue. It's kind
You
of
do a shot.
yeah. You do
Okay,
shots.
we ended up doing so many shots that I drank too late, and then I fell asleep kind of in an alley up where my car was parked, and the car was parked in a garage that closed at midnight, and I had to be at work the next day, so I had to walk home, and that was
From DC?
yeah.
Wait, so you walked home from DC?
No, I was at this is 1333 H Street. I walked to the Treasury Department, right?
Okay.
I lived on King Street at the time, and I walked to the treasure to there, which was a long distance. It might have been
How
a mile and a
far
half, two
is that?
miles.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know. I walked to there, and there's a cab on the side, and I go, "Hey, I get a ride." And he looks at me like I look bad because it's probably like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And he goes, and he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "King Street." And I held out my hands, and I just hold out. I all I had was like a pocket full of change and a dollar. And I begged him. I don't know if I begged him. I said, "Please." And he said, "Get in."
Oh,
And he
well,
gave
I
me a
actually did
ride.
it.
And he gave me a ride across the
Hmm.
bridge and down to King's Street. And then we were like a little bit back, and he dropped me at my apartment. I thanked him, and I gave him all the money and
Oh, well.
whatever. But I was like, wow. And he saved me. I went in, and it was probably like 4-ish, 4:30 then. I was almost like getting sober because that's how I remember it all,
Hmm.
But that was one of those fun and interesting nights where you're like, oops, I made a mistake.
Whoopsies.
Whoopsies.
My bad.
But I mean, I changed clothes before I went back in. I
Well, that's
mean, there
good.
was the only time I didn't change clothes is when we ran on the field at the O's game before I went
Yeah.
back in.
Up in
And
Baltimore.
that's the advice I would tell you. Uh, Baseball fields, uh, Orioles Park specifically, they have a jail. If you run on the field, they will put you in it, and they will charge you with criminal trespass. Now, it's a misdemeanor. Don't swing at anybody. If you swing at anybody, it's a felony. Uh, it'll cost you a couple $1,000s for running on the field, no matter what anybody tells you otherwise. They're not going to let you. And if you get in an argument or a fight with somebody, then all of a sudden you've assaulted police officers. So uh, I would have to say that it's a great story,
Hmm.
and but sleeping overnight in jail with I mine my cell was dark, the lights were out. We were in the old Baltimore jail, and the walls were alive
How
with
many stars
roaches.
do you think would you give that experience of being in jail?
Uh, I mean, I got to say, of stories and memories and things that have impacted me, that's probably about an 8.5.
Wow. Okay, gotcha.
Pretty high,
I've never
you
heard a
know.
jail story really making it above a two. So
Yeah.
that's pretty.
No,
That's
no, no.
pretty good.
It's not that it was fun, but I mean, I remember when we went in and I had Docksider shoes. You know, Docksiders have the I think they're
I think I know what
Docksider
you're talking about.
the
Yeah.
the whatever they are, the dock shoes, they're leather, and then and you have your shoestrings, and the shoestrings go through the side, and they're like, give me your shoestrings. And so I had to take my shoestrings out of the shoes, which you could never put back. And so they were Timberlands, if I remember correctly. And that's what I wore all the time. And I took them out. And I can never put them back in. And then we had to make the call. I made the call to the wife, and it was funny because we go there and we're just going to go for. I mean, I started out bad because between DC and Baltimore, we bought a case of beer, and
It's for
there
two
were
people,
four.
right?
Well, there's four of us, but only three of us were drinking,
Wow.
and we finished it. So
So,
so then we go in, and
well,
I
yeah,
remember
a little risky
Moog
there.
Pals was right there on the corner, and they're saying that you can't buy more than you can carry or something like that. So him and I each got four glasses of bourbon each, and then we went in, and then we ordered a rack of beer, and then it was the second inning.
And then it was the second inning.
And it was raining. I mean, it started raining, so they pulled out the sliding tarp, and we're looking at it. And then the guys with us, Mike D said, "It's only a $50 fine. You run on the field, it's nothing. You just get a $50 fine, you get to go away." And we're like, and the
You
drunker
should
we
have
got,
known at that
of
point
course,
that
I should
you.
have
No, no,
known.
not you. He should have known that how impressionable you would be, or even anybody that's
He
under
was
the
drunk.
influence.
We
Oh, he
thought
was.
he was going to come too, and he didn't. But the thing that should have warned me is my business partner was there. And when I got up and I looked at Ryan, because one of the guys I work with, Ryan Brown, was there, and we walked down to jump to go in, and he looks at me and goes, "Give me your keys." And I'm like, he yells, "Give me your keys!" And so this is the lesson. If anytime you're going to do something and you're with someone and they start yelling at you to give you their keys, you're going away. You're going to go to jail. You're going to get hurt. You're going to the hospital. You better not do it. That's my advice, because it's like, I love the story, but it was difficult in the night, in the morning, when it was a little bit. They fucked with us all night long. Every time, as soon as you start to fall asleep, and you're sleeping on a slab of concrete, they hit the thing and ask you if you're okay.
Oh, in the middle of the night just to wake you up.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Like
that's nice.
1, 2, 3, 4. He comes by and checks, and then in the morning, they did the chaining. They put me in handcuffs, and then they put me on a waist belt cuff. This is for
That's
trespassing.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
and then
crazy.
down to my legs, and also the guy in front of me, and we're walking out, right? And there's a guy behind us. He goes, "Oh, well, I don't have any others," and he lets that guy stand behind us, and he's in the very front, and this guy's behind us. Now, this guy behind us is like large man, 6'4", 6'5", black guy, big giant mess of hair, uh, obviously homeless. And when we get into where they're going to arraign us and tell us, whether they're going to let us go or not, that's when they say he did what is it? Strong arm robbery. He had gone into a store the night before with a baseball bat and threatened to kill the guy if he didn't give him his money. They arrested him and put him in jail, and then they let him walk behind us, unhandcuffed on anything, you know, and we were chained because we ran on a ball field, and it was just like it was like this is
Running out of handcuffs to me it might be the funniest part of that story,
yeah. But he said,
other
"Oh,
than the guy
I only
behind
got
you.
two pair, and there's only three of us."
You're not
And
gonna
of
just
course, the other
wait to
guy,
come back or something. That's odd. Wait, so
yeah.
was this in? So were you in holding at the Orioles Park, or
Now
did
I was at
you?
holding in the Oriole Park for about till the end of the game, which was
Oh,
like
till the
three
end of
and a
the
half
game.
hours. Then we
Oh,
thought we
and
were going
then
to get
you
let
went
go,
to a
or they're going to
different.
write us a ticket.
Okay.
And he goes, "No, you going downtown." And then we get thrown into a paddy wagon, and we're in the back, and they got individual seats, so it wasn't
You're
all
probably still
horrible.
canned at this point, right?
No, we were sober at that point.
Oh, really? Okay.
But the weird thing is I have my sunglasses.
They let you
I,
leave the sunglasses on.
that's all I have. I
Huh.
don't. That's what I see. I
Oh,
can't
no
see. I'm
wallet or
blind as a
anything.
bat, so I'm wearing
Oh,
sunglasses, and it's dark. So if I gotta read anything, I gotta put my sunglasses on. So it's
that's
very
funny.
just stupid, you know. And I'm wearing shorts, and it's starting to get cold, and we go to the jail. There's another guy there he's bigger. He's the third guy that ran on the field. He wasn't with us. He was by himself, and he ran. Uh, he had to be 6'5", 6'6", something like that. Huge guy, and it was just like it made me like so sad for mankind because
Mhm.
they started to book him because they just they take your
Your fingerprints or
fingerprints and
whatever.
all that kind of picture, and he started crying, and he said that his mother had his Adam's stuff, and it was just like, and Ryan and I are looking down at the ground, going like, man, and the dude was huge. I mean,
Bad
but you're
luck.
just like, he was he was such a pussy. It was so bad. We didn't see him the next day. I don't know if he got carted out of there or he cried enough that the guy handed him around at the other cell or something. I don't know. It was so sad. It was just sort of like, I just felt bad for men in general that was a man.
No crying in jail. That's some
Yeah.
advice. No
Yeah.
crying
Well, I
in
mean, being
jail.
booked and then talking about your mom and how, and then he starts crying that he's not going to be able to breathe. I can't breathe. We have to call my mom right now. And the dude's like, I mean, if I heard it from a little guy, I would like sort of like, oh, okay, you're worried. That's understandable. But this dude, my God, he was huge. And
That's
you're just
bad.
thinking like, wow,
That's bad.
wow, bad, bad,
Speaking
bad,
of which,
bad.
what is the what time are we at here?
We probably at about 55 minutes. We're at
Oh, okay.
110. We're at 110 now. So we've come along pretty well. You got
Gotcha.
well, we can end it up with some of the things that do you have any points in your life that are key bits of advice that have shaped the way that you are today?
I think being prepared for those that you trust the most to betray you at some point down the line. I think that that's
Yeah.
definitely something to be on the lookout for. Whether it be, it doesn't have to be family. I'm not talking necessarily familial connections, but just
Yeah.
people that you trust and love in general. Be prepared for that. Be
Yeah.
prepared for them to leave you as well. I think more
Yeah.
so that is a big part of my advice. And then always be humble. Always be
Mhm.
humble as well in your life because I
I
think
like
that
that.
that goes a long, long way. How
I
about
think
yourself?
that me more than anything in the world, the thing that bothers me the most is indecisiveness. So I'm like, decide. Just just decide and do it. Don't, and when I see that, when you see the Nike thing, just do it and all that kind of stuff, it's like I hate to be, what is that, cliche-ish, but so many people are so frightened to take that first step in anything, whether it be a relationship, whether it be, and I mean, the downside is no, you failed, you moved on, you grew, you lost a little money. But I mean, and when I say just do it, I don't mean put your house on the Redskins or what on the Commanders to win.
Always gamble.
Yeah. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, uh, items in life. You cannot, you're never going to get enough information. Take it, do it. Because
Risk.
I think that you'll, and another, and I would add something to it is that if you're going to do it, now one of the things I was saying earlier is that you started in your 20s is remember most people would go to college and go on and go to work, and then they work for 20 years and then they retire, and then maybe they live another 15, 20 years and they're done. It's not like that anymore. We now live till 90 years old. So, you know, you should take your whole 20s to decide. And if you aren't, I think the worst thing people can do is measure themselves to their people. You measure yourself to your what do you call it? Your the people that graduated high school with you, and you're always like, well, I'm not. I'm only 1 year into college, and I'm now 22 and it's 24, and it's like you can't. You have to
Everybody's
measure.
path is different. Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking
Yeah,
about, oh, it's too late for me. I'm 25. I can't
yeah,
go
and
to
you're like,
college.
you're
I've met
shitting me.
45-year-olds at Nova when I was at Nova
Yeah.
that were
Well,
trying to better themselves, that they were
right.
trying to better themselves to get a better position at their job. And that goes to show that education is a lifelong journey.
Yeah,
And you're
and it's
always
it's
learning,
it's
unless you don't
it's
want to. That's the thing.
right, and it's like every decision in life. It's look inside.
It's never too late.
I mean, most of the time, you know the answer. You're just frightened to take it. Do
I
it.
completely agree.
My
Well, on that note,
soiree.
thank you guys for listening as always. Recordofmyfather.com, and go check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and this is going on Spotify, so go check us
You
out
love
there.
you love the new camera. That's my new camera.
Oh
You have
yeah,
a
we're
new
in
camera.
4K now.
We're upgrading all the whatever we call it
We're in 4K. We're
equipment.
upgrading the what is it, the production value. Here we
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Well, we'll talk to you later. See ya.
Party on.